Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session. My name is Anna, and I am your host for the next 35 minutes for what will be a pitching session on the topic of clean energy. We have five incredible solutions that we will hear from, four incredible startups that are here today with us. But before we go into the pitches themselves, I would like to introduce some of the people that are today with us here, some of the experts on the topic of clean energy that will also be part of the jury as well. I would like to introduce first Benjamin Tink from Climate Tech Studio. Benjamin is an expert on clean energy, and for about 2 or 3 minutes, Benjamin will share with us some insights into the topic that will help us set the scene for the pitches that we will hear. Hello, Benjamin.
Hi, Anna, and thanks everyone. I was told I had 5, just to be sure. It's 2 or 3 minutes, or it's 5 minutes, just to stay on the time?
Ideally, it's 3 minutes. Maximum.
Okay, just okay. Thanks a lot. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm the founding partner of the Climate Tech Venture Studio. So we invest in scientists, engineers, and operators who have the potential to become great climate founders, and we co-develop and found new companies with them at buildaclimatestartup.com. It's a pleasure to be part of this event and to introduce this session. I'm super excited about the clean energy entrepreneurs we're going to hear from, and I cannot stress enough how important it is for the future of humanity to access energy that is clean, abundant, cheap, dispatchable, and with limited negative externalities for people and the planet. So why is that important? Well, the climate math is clear. We need net zero emissions by mid-century. Today, we emit about 51 gigatons of CO2 emissions every year. About 3/4 of that is fossil energy and its applications. So we need to get to net zero very fast, and we need to get to net zero electricity even faster, because electrification is a big driver for reducing emissions. So obviously we need a bit of sovereignty, we need strong policy, but we need a lot of technology as well in order to reach that level. When we hear about technology and clean energy, we often hear, oh, we have already all the solutions we need, let's just deploy them. So of course, we have a lot of great solutions, like the cost of solar and wind has really dropped. Nuclear plays a very important role, hydropower as well. But when we look at the numbers, the international energy agencies tell us that basically 3/4 of the technologies we need for net zero are still very far from mass adoption, and at least 1/3 of these technologies are still in the lab scale today. So they need to be scaled up and fully developed. So just a few areas to mention: energy efficiency is super important to reduce our emissions. Clean electricity, we need it very fast for electrification. So we'll need, in addition to solar and wind, which are going very fast, we're going to need like base load power in order to work for when solar and wind don't work. So we have a couple of options: better nuclear, better geothermal, more ubiquitous hydropower, or we can have like carbon capture and storage on next generation plants as well. But also we'll have to bet on long duration energy storage. So maybe it will be flow batteries, maybe it's going to be power to gas. Like there's a lot of competing technologies that are going to get there. We still don't know which one. But we'll also need to focus on decarbonizing the 80% of energy which is not electrified today. So typically it's applications when you have either very high energy density and a distributed delivery, like electric vehicles or maybe heat pumps. So for that, electrification is a good candidate. Or in some case, we need like very, very high energy density and super strong power density, like in industrial applications, for instance, or heavy transportation. So for that, we'll need a combination of different solutions. Maybe it will be bioenergy, synthetic fuels, hydrogen, carbon capture, likely a combination of both. But at the same time, we shouldn't neglect a topic, which is how are we going to develop the metals and produce and extract the components for this energy transition. We need a lot of lithium, cobalt, nickel, copper, rare earth metals. So we need basically to exploit them in a sustainable manner, to recycle batteries, to be able to substitute certain metals like cobalt from others, for instance. And we'll also need to be able to pull out a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and to ramp up carbon capture, carbon removal, and utilization. And just to close, I want to say that when people see this new climate tech wave, sometimes they're like, oh, 10 or 15 years ago, during the clean tech 1.0 wave, there was a lot of disappointment because investors lost a lot of money, and then we didn't hear about clean tech for a while. But I think this is a very, very different time today. There's much more alignment of interest. Like everyone is basically shooting in the same direction, right? The civil society is demanding it. Governments are investing a lot of money. Corporates have huge net zero emission mandates, so are ready to invest in those technologies. There is a much more diverse capital stacks with VCs, angels, family offices getting on board. So I'm very excited and bullish about the future of clean energy, and hopefully the experience curves and the learning rates are going to get them even cheaper, much closer to the levels we need them to be. So without further ado,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anna.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Perfect introduction into the world of clean energy and to set us up for the pitches we will hear. And before we go into the pitches, I will go quickly through the members of the jury as well. We have five experts part of the jury, and I am going to invite each of you to, as I say your name, to share in one sentence what your work is all about. So let's do this exercise to see if we manage to express in one sentence the work that fuels our expertise. And we can start with the first member, Piotr van Schothorst from PVS Investments.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. So I'm a private investor, also called a business angel. So I used to work for Shell for 12 years, and then I quit Shell and set up several companies. And since the last few years, I use the money I make from the dividends from one of those companies to invest in clean tech, clean energy startups. And I've done that now for 3 years and invested in about 7 companies.
Perfect. Perfect sum up, Piotr. Thank you. Next, we have Martin Bloom from InfraCity Fund.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Martin.
Yes. Yeah, hi. I'm a founding partner of InfraCity, the new urban tech fund. Some of you know some of my colleagues who've spoken yesterday. I'm also on the board of another fund, which has created 3 unicorns this year, and a director of a New York Stock Exchange listed solar company, which raised $250 million in January. Plus, I've been CEO and chairman of a range of companies in these sectors.
Perfect. Thank you, Martin. We now have Benjamin Tink from, we also have him on the list. Benjamin, if there is anything else you would like to very quickly add on top of what you mentioned earlier.
No, I'll leave the spot to the next speaker. I already introduced myself. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll move on to Vincent Rinne from ChangeNOW Ventures.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. So my name is Vincent Rinne, and I'm an investment director at ChangeNOW Ventures. So ChangeNOW Ventures is the corporate venture capital fund of the global energy player Engie. So what we do is we typically invest in post-revenues clean tech startups, so a few million euros, with the objective to support their scale-up together with Engie. And in a nutshell, the investment domains we're looking at are green gases, system flexibility, low carbon efficient usages, decarbonized generation, and in general, digitalization of the energy transition.
Perfect. Thank you, Vincent. And last member of the jury is Tamim El Zain from Seedstars Africa Ventures. Hello, Tamim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the intro. So I'm one of the co-founders of Seedstars Africa Ventures, which is an early stage fund focusing on sub-Saharan Africa. And we're present in 25 countries there. While the fund is sector agnostic, sustainability themes are very important to us, particularly energy, where we see obviously a lot of opportunities on the continent. And we're very excited to be here today. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And with this quick intro, we can move on to the pitches themselves. And first pitch that we will hear is from Andy Kleisner from Amped Innovation. Hello, Andy.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
I'm just refreshing my clicker. Perfect. Okay.
Perfect. We can see your slides. You have 3 minutes.
Fantastic. So over 1 billion people live without reliable energy. They often have no power for 4 to 12 hours per day. For you and I, if we don't have internet for an hour, we struggle. Now imagine running a business or doing your work with frequent long blackouts. Power outages are the norm in emerging markets, as many of the jury knows. Small businesses routinely stop everything for a blackout. Workers grab tea or go home, or else someone has to run out to grab fuel to kickstart a backup generator. But it can also mean that they get half their paycheck, or that businesses struggle to scale. And it's not just a few businesses we're talking about. This can be entire economies that are coming to a standstill whenever their power turns off. In reality, they won't and can't stand still. They pay for a deadly solution, dirty fossil fuel generators. 8 times the national grid of Nigeria is powered by fuel generators that compensate for grid downtime. 150 million megawatt hours of fossil fuel generator power, or the equivalent of all the homes in California, are causing 1,500 deaths per year and 100 megatons of CO2 filling the atmosphere. That's about the 20% of vehicles in sub-Saharan Africa. But what if businesses instead could have clean, reliable power? They could invest in employees and business growth without compromising the health of their families. One question you might have is, why hasn't solar already replaced dirty fuel generators? Well, historically, solar has had a higher upfront cost, and many distrust the quality. Affordable solar inverters are often anemic compared to powerful fuel generators, and even break when running larger appliances. Our aim at AMPT is to kill the fossil fuel generator. We're building an aspirational, affordable solar alternative. At AMPT, our power hub is basically built for Africa, not just for the occasional camping trip. It has no fragile parts. It is heat-proof and dust-proof. And unlike other solar inverters, it will run all the appliances you need to live your life, run your business. That means large fridges with compressors, grinders and belt sanders, basically the tools that actually power economies. It's affordable from day one due to our minimalist design, so we have 1/10 the components of our competitors, and comes with built-in payment plans. It pays for itself within a year. There are actually good reasons this problem hasn't been solved. Many companies don't view sub-Saharan Africa as a viable market. At AMPT, we've already sold over 100,000 systems, solar products, in sub-Saharan Africa to customers who earn less than $4 a day. Not only is there a market, but it's hungry for new and innovative solutions that solve a real need. We're growing a community of clean energy users in over 20 countries, and we would love for you to join us in making solar the easy choice for the next billion energy users and displacing the fossil fuel generator once and for all. And that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you for taking us into a journey about a new kind of solar, and a great start to the pitch session today. Next, we have on the list Mark Delcourt from Global Bioenergies. Hello, Mark.
Hello. So, where are my slides? So Global Bioenergies is a 12-year-old company. We started in 2008 with the idea to produce renewable jet fuel. And next slide. So we're 50 people located in France. We have an R&D facility and also a small production unit, which you can see on this picture. Next. So what we do is we convert sugar from beets in particular, but also from other origins, into a compound named isobutene, which is secondarily transformed using a chemistry process into isododecane, IDD. So we have a process which is a combination of biology and chemistry. Next. So what we see is that we, on our way to producing this this jet fuel story, we were pulled out of our trajectory by the cosmetics. In fact, it happens that this molecule is a very important molecule in the cosmetics, and we found that this would help us get the process scaled at the right level and have the cost go down in order to be ready for large-scale exploitation in the jet fuel. So for today, we see that our first market is in the cosmetics. In the cosmetics, we have different applications. One in the makeup. It happens that the isododecaine, the molecule we dedicated primarily to jet fuel, is in fact the key ingredient for all the long wear makeup. Next slide. It's the first ingredient by volume. Next slide. And so we saw that we had in our hands the key to bring naturalness, to get rid of oil and replace it by biosourced solutions in a segment of the cosmetics. So that's what we're doing. And in fact, we decided to launch our own brand, the first brand of long wear makeup combining naturalness and long wear. So the first brand being both long wear and natural. So we named this brand Last. You can see these little things here are the first vials that we're producing. We're in fact launching this brand in June. So you see a picture of these are eyeshadow products. Next. You see that we combine 90% plus natural formula with packaging that is entirely renewable. So it's either recycled plastics or abundant mineral, glass and metal. And the secondary packaging, the cardboard, is coming from a sustainable forest. Next. And here you see, so you see the various items I just mentioned. Everything is of natural origin here. So long wear makeup represent 4% of the cosmetics. So we see that we will start by having a large impact on this market. Next.
I'm sorry, Mark, but the time is up.
No problem.
And we are actually over it. And I'm going to invite you that if you do want to share more, there will be space in the networking area at the end of this session. Mm-hmm. And thank you very much for helping us imagine how natural cosmetics could look like next. And now we have Christopher Brandom from EH Group Engineering.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. If you could put my slide deck up, because the thingy doesn't work here. Thank you. So what a difference a year makes. When we came to ChangeNOW at the Grand Palais 12 months ago, I flew from Singapore. I think I was the only person wearing a mask in Paris. But hydrogen also was feeling very niche, and fuel cells even more so. Next. Fast forward a year, and it feels like hydrogen is obviously the buzzword, but if it is to truly meet its potential, like solar did in the early 2000s and lithium-ion about 10 years ago, we need to solve the issue of cost and complexity, kind of tailing back from what Benjamin was talking about in fuel cells. Next. So what we have done is we have redesigned at a microstructure level what happens in our PEM fuel cell stacks. So the result is a stack that is much smaller, much more lightweight, and at a system level has much higher efficiencies. But this is also designed for manufacturing, whereby we produce and assemble them in a wholly innovative way, which is basically a straight-through process, which cuts the time down by sort of a factor of 5 or 6 on the production of the stacks, and the cost by over 70%. Finally, our stacks are optimally designed for mobile applications in particular due to their very low cell pitch. Next. Just diving a bit deeper, we see that we have about 1.5 to 2 times the power density of basically the next best stacks in the market. But importantly, we're also able to run them at lower pressures. This means that we have a simplified balance of plant, cheaper and more effective. And we're able to scale these stacks up from 1 kilowatt all the way up to 250 kilowatts. Next. The focus is on mobility, where range, payload, extensive use are required, buses, trucks, maritime, even aviation. Next. We're currently at TRL 6-7, where our stacks have been deployed in a wide range of pilot projects across forklifts, aerospace companies. This is one for a Croatian specialized vehicles maker as a range extender. Next. And finally, our largest stack, 250 kilowatts, is actually going for an EV supercharging container, which is due for delivery at the end of the year. Next. We have a team of about a dozen. We've been established since 2017, and we've got to pre-Series A at the moment. We are looking for partners for deployment, for production, but also long-term investors who realize that there's a big challenge ahead and a big opportunity ahead, but that we need to share that vision over 5 to 10 years to really make this all realize. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Christopher. Very good use of 3 minutes. And yes, and we will now move on to the last speech, which is coming from Al Karaki about Leaper Innovative Green Energies. Leach. And we will not be hearing directly from Al. We have a video, a 2-minute video that we will have a look at right now. And then Al is here with us and will be available for Q&A. So if we can have the video up. I think there is no sound for it.
I just want to thank the organizers of the ChangeNOW Youth Gathering. It is an incredible event, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of it and to be able to explain our innovation. My name is Al Karaki, and together with a group of frustrated engineers from South Africa, we got into our startup garage and we tried to brainstorm in terms of how we can fix the energy crisis. The load shedding happens 2 or 3 days sometimes with no announcement, and it was terrible. It was hard to work under those conditions. The engineers then come up with a super compressor, and the super compressors, we connected that super compressor to the solar panel, and here's some examples to the solar panels, and as the generator, the turbine starts to turn, it gathers in air and goes through a 7-stage filter and cleans that air before we compress it into the big pressure vessels. And so our lead engineer, Warwick, comes running up and says, hey, look at this, and he hits the button, and the air that you see, or the tanks that you see where the air is held, goes back to the generator. It turns the turbine in the opposite direction, and we generate electricity. Lights go on, everything works. So we've successfully converted compressed air into electricity. We also had a problem, big problem. When we first turned it on, we had water, lots of water, not drops, lots of water. And we took it to the lab. It was 100% fine, or cleanest they've ever seen. And what we realized is that when we squeeze the air, we squeeze the humidity, we squeeze the water out of the air, and that's why we get a lot of water. So energy storage, it is a clean energy. We use no chemicals. It has a 30-plus year lifespan. It's transportable, as you can see. And like I say, we can generate water, clean water, lots of it, and clean air. And one last thing, out of all the energy storage systems in the world, this system, other than hydro, is the lowest operating cost, lower than deep cycle batteries. Thank you very much.
have about 7 minutes for a quick Q&A session. So I would invite any of the members of the jury or Benjamin to share questions if they have. I think the time that we have right now is limiting us to only 2 questions maximum, with the invitation that whatever questions you have that are left unanswered, there is space for them to address them in a much much broader time frame in the rooms, in the networking rooms that my colleagues have shared with you all in the chat. So, does anybody have questions right now for any of the projects or startups that you have heard?
Sure, I'll start if that's okay. I have a question for Andy. So I'm interested to know what's your distribution strategy on the ground in Africa?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've been working B2B, so we have around over 20 distributors across East, West, and Central Africa, and they're mostly sort of venture-backed groups, or they're distributing a mix of things besides just solar. I would say sort of microfinance, we have some partners there, and some ag companies, but the majority are actually venture-backed solar companies. So one of our biggest ones to begin with was a Y Combinator company called Ulu Solar. They're operating in 5 countries in West Africa. We have a group called Upawa in Cameroon. And so you can imagine Nigeria is the biggest market opportunity for us. And so we have about 10 distributors that are focused just in Nigeria alone.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more question. Do we have one more question?
I have a question.
Yeah, I have a question on the fuel cell company. I used to be CEO of a fuel cell company, an international one, and yeah, how long do you think it's going to take you to come to commercial deployment? Because a lot of people have invested a lot of money in fuel cells, and some of them have taken 30 or more years to actually get to commercial product. How fast can you get there?
Yeah, so my business partner has been in fuel cells for over 20 years, pretty much since the last cycle that fuel cells were sort of a hot topic. We're already at sort of TRL 6-7, and the momentum, the backdrop of hydrogen policies and so on means that we're targeting to get to full commercialization by the end of next year. Particularly as we're focused on also not just the stack itself, which is reliable in the system and so on, but actually also the production process around it, which so far has been quite limiting in terms of getting costs down and scaling up.
I have a follow-up question for you, Chris. I didn't really understood your technology. You say you redesigned the fuel cells at the microstructure level, but is it like a new membrane materials, a catalyst, a gas diffusion layer? Like what exactly do you have that's new?
Sure. So it's not a catalyst, and the CCMs are customized, but it's we use the same supplier as Toyota and the rest. But pretty much everything else, our bipolar plates, the GDLs, the way we assemble it all is quite different, and the way we then therefore manage the heat, the gases, and the whole combination thereof is quite different. Okay. So our self-pitch, sorry.
Thank you so much. And just before we wrap this up, there were 2 overlapping voices earlier. So I think there is one more burning question that has not been voiced. If that's the case, we can quickly have that shared and then with a quick answer as well. If not, and if there's not anybody else who would like to share, then we can wrap this up and move into the networking space. Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy to ask the last one, but I'd like to leave the opportunity to Vincent or Piotr, who haven't asked any question, if you guys have one.
Thanks. Yes, if you let me ask a question to the last presentation, Al. what's the level?
Very quick one, please. Sorry.
What's the level of deployment and commercial readiness of your solution?
We have the blueprints, and we're ready to find. We need manufacturers. That's what we need. We've got orders. We just need to start fulfilling them. So we're ready to go. Sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Heard you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry, Benjamin, to cut you short on this one. But as I mentioned, I do invite you all, if you have a little bit more time and curiosity, because I feel the level of energy is quite high in the room. So please click the link in the chat and take your questions and your thoughts into the networking area. It will be only one room, so you all will meet there. We just need to end this session because the live stream is going to end. And yes, enjoy the networking, enjoy sharing the ideas and connecting with one another, and see you around the event. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.